I don't think people understood the historical significance of the Trayvon Martin case and what that literally showed America. I always say when you look at the backdrops and the pattern of what transpired during that process, it literally was a blueprint as to how to kill an African American man and get off when you were not justified in doing so. Here's what happened. You had a young black man going home within his right, walking home within his right, being stalked. The outcome obviously tragic after the aggressor or the individual stalking him was advised by the so-called professional not to do so. Now, what did we see? We saw immediately the attack on the character. Number one, it was a cover-up or attempt to cover up, but there's an immediate attack on the character. And you saw, or you will see this pattern when you look in New York, when you look in Ferguson. They're saying in New York, well, we told him repeatedly not to come here, but that day he wasn't doing anything wrong. You looked at that video footage that they sent out of the young man, and he appeared to be the aggressor, but we don't know what the schematics were of that entire ordeal. And then you had in the situation with Trayvon Martin, he was in and out of suspended from school or what have you. You see, they're painting the backdrop of the individual to be the bad guy. And here's what they'll feed the information to the reporters. Here's what the legal people will feed the information to the reporters. And here are the code words.
And investigators tell us the suspects have quite a rap sheet. Tonight we've got new details about the suspect, their criminal past, and
he appears to have a lengthy and extensive record that...
Look at this rap sheet.
Lengthy criminal history. Continual run-ins with law enforcement. They'll attack the character so immediately, you can say this one deserved it. Secondly, what will they do? They'll look at, and as a matter of fact, when you look at what happened here in on South Beach, how they shot several shots into that police car when they murdered that young, in the opinion of some, murdered that young black man, African American male. They said he was a suspect in a robbery at a store, which couldn't have been true. If he was a viable suspect, he would have been arrested. You see? So they'll attack the character. Then they'll go to the social media posts. What are you posting online? Well, if they see you holding guns and smoking and posting money, gang activity. See, this one here had a mind to do violence, had a mindset to do violence, you see? So when they attack that character and say he had a lengthy criminal history, that is irrelevant because I don't care, in those previous times they may have been wrong, and the fact that they had that criminal record indicates they paid for that time. But in this time when they were murdered or shot dead, they could have been 100% right, but because of the previous time, they're going to use it against him. Thirdly, what they'll use is he was an habitual drug user. He smoked marijuana, and he mixed that marijuana, that cannabis with other drugs, which was indicative of the death or which contributed to the death. This is what happened in Texas with that young lady. They said she was repeatedly used marijuana. It could have been something in the brain, you see. So this is why I'm not a fan of the MK Ultra legalization of these kind of drugs. And when you're posting yourself on social media, rolling it and talking about doing so, I tell you, it can and will be used against you in the court of law, you see. And finally, what they'll say, they'll look at your wardrobe. They'll get those pictures. The young man there was a debate saying he shouldn't have had on a hoodie. Last I checked, they sold hoodies in store and they were legal, you see. They'll look at the baggy pants. They'll look at the pants off the body. See, all of this is gang related. They're making you out to be the bad guy, but you're the victim now. You're the victim. And so this is the blueprint. And when you look at what happened, and when you look at the cases across the country, this is what's been done. And it became open season to murder African American men. I think people need to realize that the murder of African American men is nothing new. They murdered George Stinney, a young man who was 14 years old, African American man, 14 years old, on death row. And what happened with the Trayvon Martin case is so reminiscent of the Emmett Till. When you saw what took place, you would say certainly it should have been a guilty verdict, but there was none. When you hear what happens in this case, it should have been a guilty verdict, but there was none. So I believe what the challenge is that during that civil rights era, you had men who were committed and who understood. And you have men who say, man, we ain't drinking, we ain't smoking. We need to have our wit about ourselves. But in this particular culture, we drink and we smoke. And we believe initiation and graduation is incarceration. You see? I always say it seems like our brothers are leaving the hoods via cemetery or penitentiary. And what we need is we need some people who will be vocal and be examples and be role models. But those are the blueprints that I believe that America has used and has been using since that notable case to gun down black men. And it appears to be open season after that took place. Just go look at the backdrops. Go look at the backdrops. Even in Cincinnati when the man was shot in the head. And they're going to try to cover that up. So you have not only a culture of cover-up, but a culture of corruption. And it caused or distrust among the police. There may be several people, police officers that are 100% good 100% of the time. But when you have such what appears to be a culture of cover-up and corruption, it just taints the badge in the process. So I would advise most African American men, be mindful what you're posting on Facebook, be mindful what you're posting on social media, be mindful how you conduct yourselves. Don't be the aggressor. Be yes sir, yes ma'am. In a situation, live another day to fight another day. Don't lose that battle in war by being an aggressor. Because at the end of the day, the culture of cover-up and corruption may prevail. And what's happened? We got another statistic on the books.